Ark, the Island, the first map in all of Ark, where you learn to tame dinos, collect artifacts, and fight bosses, with the main three being the Broodmother, the Megapithecus, and the Dragon. But on this journey, we will not be taming any dinos. Will we be able to beat the 3 island bosses and prepare ourselves to fight the Overseer? In this video, we'll find out. But first, we have to go back to the beginning. After changing my settings real quick, we went to punch a tree, craft a pickaxe, break some rocks, grab some berries, craft a spear, and kill some dodos. It's like I just went through a checklist, but that's the early game of Ark. With the basics collected, it was time to craft the upgrade station, which does exactly what it says it does. It upgrades weapons, so this will be crucial for this challenge. I just use it to upgrade my tools at this time, so we were looking to go get some explorer notes now. If you didn't know, these provide a good XP boost in the early game, but it was time to keep harvesting and craft a bow and some arrows, as well as a raft. This would serve as our base for a little while, but back to farming and collecting more explorer notes. Once back at the raft, I stopped over at the supply drop, collected some goodies. There was this good packy saddle that we can't use, so, we got better loot from supply drops because there's a mod that I have installed on here, so whenever you see drop quality, it's because of that mod. After that supply drop, I added some foundations to the raft to give myself a little bit more space. Once I headed back over to where we had the upgrade station, I replaced the entire wood foundation with stone foundations. I don't know why I even did wood in the first place, but oh well. After that, though, I decided to mess around with the upgrade station and grind it up that packy saddle and then upgraded my bow, so we got a pretty solid standing for our bow. With everything upgraded, I began transferring everything over to the raft, and I went over to check this green drop, to which we got a surprise. Now this bow was way stronger than the one we had made at the upgrade station, so we were overpowered for our current stage. Now, with us being in a pretty good spot, I decided to upgrade to the Metal Ages with some refining forges, and I went to test out the bow, and it was doing 368 damage a shot, so we were in good hands. I probably won't cover this all that much, but whenever I could mine some river rocks to get some metal for the forges, I would do that, so we do this a lot in the video, but a lot of the time it'll be cut out. But after getting back to the raft, I added our 8th industrial forge, and finally crafted myself some hide armor. I then spent the next few minutes collecting wood for our forges so that we could cook the metal and collect some charcoal for later down the line. We'll use that to craft bullets. Did I mention I would go and mine more river rocks because, yeah. After a lot more farming though, I went back to the base and finally livened it up with some campfires, a mortar and pestle, and a cooking pot. I had also spent some time loading up the forges with all the metal that I had collected because the Metal Ages aren't gonna show up by themselves. This is when I began my spark powder journey as well, as because we would need a lot down the line. And after battling with the ceiling for a while, we had finally put together a house. With the last wall going down, we had assembled a house raft. Lovely. And it was by this point we crafted some metal tools. The Metal Ages had arrived. I had also decided to craft a club at this time because clubs can give you extra organic polymer, which you get from killing Hesperornises, so we were going to be progressing to the late game really quick, as this is a great resource to have. And yes, it turned daytime because I had spent the whole night killing these little guys for their organic polymer, so that was fun. But there was also a Spinosaurus nearby, so I wanted to get active, so that's what we did now. And spoiler alert, he beat up my base a little bit, so you'll see.
Oh, you're kind of, okay, you have no HP. That could have been horrible.
And with him dead, we had collected a tribute. And since I didn't disclose it in the intro, we will be collecting every tribute required for the alpha bosses because we are going to be fighting them on gamma difficulty, so we needed to add another step. Now, after finally repairing my raft after the Spino attack, it was time to craft some parachutes because we were going up to the mountains to get some metal. I also made sure to grab the explorer node up here and get back to mining. After I had cleaned the mountain for all of its metal, it was time to head off the mountain and throw all of the resources into the forges and get to progressing. And as a quick side note, I would constantly keep these forges loaded with wood so that we could get some charcoal for bullets later on. After all the housekeeping, I quickly decided to craft a spyglass, as well as upgrade all of my metal tools to Ascendant, as this would help us greatly with farming. Now after that, I went up river to quickly kill this Spino, and then it was time to move into the first cave of this challenge. A thing to note about this cave as I entered it is that there are no onyx that spawn in this cave, which really lowers the difficulty of this cave, and the Titanoboas that were here were done in one shot, so we could easily progress through this cave. I also looted this supply drop, which gave me a great wood shield. After that, I had walked over to this cliffside to where I shot down on every creature that sat below me until there was nothing left, and we were finally able to complete this cave. On the way out, don't worry, I made sure to collect every resource I could find within this cave until I couldn't carry anymore so that we could be better stocked for late game. After quickly stopping back at base and depositing everything, I did exactly what you would think and headed right back into the cave to collect some tributes. As the killing had concluded, we had racked up a decent amount of Titanoboa venom and Megalania toxins, so we were moving ever so close to getting all those finished. As I returned back to base after farming, I quickly deposited everything and began making some more spark powder. After all that had settled, I had made sure to kill some Hesperornises in the river, as after my rampage was done I decided to give myself a ponytail, and it was time to continue our travels and head over to the eastern side of the map to prepare for the lava cave. We also ran into these two megalodons, but I scared them off. As we arrived on the eastern side of the map, it was time to craft up a full set of ghillie to withstand the heat inside the lava cave, and with that, we were ready for the cave. In the cave, it was time to kill out all the entry creatures that were there, and it was time to slowly progress through the cave. But I couldn't do that. I had to collect as many resources as I could before exiting the cave really quickly. Now why, you might ask? Just so I could craft some quick grapplers, as I would need them for the cave. So back I go. As I progressed further into the cave, I was battling some onyx when one of them decided to give me rabies. We know where this goes. After quickly re-grabbing my stuff, it was time to progress through the cave and finally grab the artifact. 2 out of 10 done. With the lava cave completed, it was time to continue our journey up the eastern side of the map, to which we ended up at the northeast mountain, to which we just quickly grabbed some metal but had to quickly bail off the mountain as I couldn't survive up there.
I'm gonna die. That was too close.
After I had healed, I went up to the mountain to kill some Argentavises and get some Argentavis talons for some tributes, as well as mine a lot more metal and crystal. Once I was done farming, it was time to continue moving up the coastline, to which we eventually ended up at Carnivore Island, to which I quickly farmed some river rocks. Once I was done farming, it was time to fight some T-Rexes that were on Carnivore Island for some tributes, as well as killing an Alpha Carno.
There's an alpha down. That was a lot of arrows.
After some more killing, we had discovered even more Alpha Carnos.
Is it 2 alphas? Oh, hey, bud. This is kind of awkward, but, oh my, there's 2 alpha. Okay, this is gonna... Wonder how easy will this be? There's also an alpha megalodon, of course there is. They're mate boosted too. Oh, I got time and I got arrows.
After a while of shooting, 1 Alpha Carno fell, and after a bit more shooting, the 2nd Alpha Carno fell. After I got back to the raft, it was time to grind up all the tools that I had gotten from the alphas and leveled up my crossbow.
Ooh.
After some housework, or raft work, I guess you could say, I waited for a supply drop to land, which was one of the main reasons I was at Carnivore Island, to which I got some absolute gems, including this cannon, which I ended up destroying for big profit, which I then used to upgrade my crossbow even more. As I went to explore the island, I found this guy.
Why is there another one?
As you'll see, this is a recurring theme throughout this video, because when I went around the corner of Carnivore Island, there's another one.
Yep, there another alpha car now, of course.
Don't worry though, as I killed this one. After all had been sorted, it was time to explore the Carno Island cave. There is a bit in this cave where you have to go underwater, and luckily from one of the supply drops I had gotten a really good pair of scuba pants, so no cold temperatures really bothered me, so we were able to get through this part. My plan for the cave was to fight the Onyx by shooting them and just going straight back underwater, as they shouldn't be able to do any damage underwater, which they didn't, so this was going to be our plan for clearing out the entirety of this cave. Once the top section of bats had been cleared from the cave, it was finally time to actually make some progress in getting the artifact. Now usually you would drop down the center aisle and get to the bottom of the artifact cave real easily, but since there was a lot of bats at the bottom, that would have been suicide.
Why are there so many bats?
So I did what any reasonable person would do, and that is to shoot the bats and run out of the cave.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was a lot of bats. But once they were all killed, the cave was basically free. There was quite the mess that was made at the beginning with all the dead bat corpses, but the cave was free. Through the corpses we go, and we had gotten 3 out of the 10 artifacts done. Now, even though I had beaten the Carno Island cave, I wasn't going to leave the island just yet, as I wanted to farm some supply drops for good loot, as well as kill any alpha dinosaurs that I seen. Now back at base, I had decided to make a preserving bin, as that would help me greatly with preserving any of the soups that I gotten, as well as any of my berries. With everything set up back at base, it was time to just go and farm supply drops. And if you were also wondering, I stopped this to go kill yet another Alpha Carno, so you know this happens a lot. With all of the supply drops collected and no more seemingly in sight, it was time to finally leave Carnivore Island and head back to the mainland. Once I was back on the main island, I had seen this Alpha Megalodon level 12, and what a perfect level for me to try to kill. Trying to fight this guy without flippers was certainly a choice, but not as surprising as another discovery I made while fighting this guy. It was an Alpha T-Rex.
Oh boy.
Now, despite there being an Alpha T-Rex nearby and that guy possessing the strength to destroy this entire run, I stayed focused on the Alpha Megalodon. And because he had such a low health pool, he managed to fall relatively quickly, so we could change our focus now. As I was going to grab all the loot from the Megalodon, including the tributes, I decided that it would be time for me to go over and attack the Alpha T-Rex. Now, the one thing that you will notice about the Alpha T-Rex is that he wasn't turning to attack me. And that was because Alpha Dinos will stay focused on a dead body but won't be able to eat it. So they'll just get stuck in place real awkwardly. And with the Alpha engaged in his current weakness, we are able to freely take him out and get another Alpha kill down for more tributes.
That was very convenient.
Alpha T-Rex teeth acquired. Back at base, it was time to deposit all of the tributes and then get ready to get moving closer towards the snow biome. Upon entering the snow biome, I quickly killed a Utyrannus and then quickly left the snow biome. Don't ask me why I did this, but I don't remember. As I returned to base, I checked and made sure all of my forges were properly stocked before getting ready and deciding that it was time to go to the cave at the center of the map. As I was making my way over towards the cave, I discovered a quite high-level Karcha.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Now, despite being a dangerous discovery, this guy would come in handy later down the line as he provides one of the Giga Hearts required for the tributes. So, it was good to know that he was here and we would have to return to him very soon. But I didn't have time for him at this current moment, so it was time to parachute over to the center cave. And after a short flight with my parachute, we had arrived at the center cave. I quickly made sure to craft some sleeping bags so that I had a way to quickly respawn in case things went poorly inside the cave, but it was time to tackle this cave. As I progressed through the cave, there was just some simple RNAs that stood in my way, but they were quickly killed, so we were able to keep progressing, but this cave was really scary, I will say.
Ugh. It's a dung beetle.
Yeah, the scariest part of this cave was the dung beetle that just popped out of nowhere, which, makes zero sense, but, I thought it was funny. After killing the remaining bugs that sat around the artifact, like this dangling Arthropolera, the artifact was ours. And after some quick resource collection, 4 out of the 10 caves have been completed, with all 3 artifacts for the Broodmother acquired. On the way back, I made sure to stop at the local mountain and collect as many resources as I could carry, as I didn't know how many we would need by the end of this challenge, but it was best to stay well stocked. On the way parachuting back, we got another celebrity guest appearance. Now when I tell you there were all too many of these guys, I mean it. Back at base, it was time to resupply on parachutes and arrows as we were getting ready to take on the artifact of the Skylord Cave in the snow. As we began scaling the mountain, it was time to parachute over to the Skylord Cave. Whenever we were close to arriving at the cave, I decided to divert the path and go towards this red supply drop, to which we could check and see if we got any goodies, to which we got some incredible loot. Just note that I will be nerfing drop quality after this video. As we jumped off the cliff and headed towards the cave, we were finally ready to tackle this cave. But after killing this RNAO, I quickly ran out of the cave. I had decided to take a quick debrief and fight these Carnos outside the cave to where this Utyrannus really caught my attention. Man, I love this game. But the real reason as to why I left the cave was so I could craft some sleeping bags. Now the reason for sleeping bags was quite self-explanatory, as this cave was quite the trap, I will say, with the way these onyx were spawned. And when I say this cave was a trap, I mean, look at this. What am I supposed to do against this? I guess the obvious was to get rabies, for which I of course died. Now this is where the sleeping bags come in clutch, as I was able to quickly spawn back right outside of the cave, but it was a race against time now. Because I was freezing, and also this bat decided to come outside and scare me so bad, but I had to just juke him and we were back into the cave. If you thought that was the end of the bats, you'd be greatly mistaken. But after quickly retrieving my stuff and nearly falling into this death pit, we were back to where we were meant to be as I re-equipped all of my armor. Since the bats around the artifact had despawned, we were able to quickly grab the artifact and avoid all those spiders that were behind it, and we were finally able to leave this cave behind. With this, we had collected 5 out of the 10 artifacts. After running around after collecting a supply drop, we ran into yet another common guest. You know what we've got to do. Now, one of the main reasons I was in the snow biome was to kill penguins, as these guys are one of the best late game resource suppliers, as they give a bunch of organic polymer. Now you know what time it is. It's time for a penguin killing montage. Don't tell PETA. Let's just quickly repair this and back to it. After all the Kairuku killing, we had amassed a whopping 3,300 organic polymer. Big profit. On the way back, we discovered this supply drop, which gave us some gems of loot, and then it was time to parachute back home. As we arrived back at base, it was time to craft some more grappling hooks, as well as some metal dinosaur gates and large bear traps. As if you could tell, it is time to fight the Karcha. Whenever I arrived up at the mountain, I set the trap into play, which, if you're looking at it and thinking this is a really bad trap, it is, as I really did not position this well at all. Now, one of the things that I definitely did too early was to get the Karcha's attention, because it had moved down the mountain, and I kind of was rushing the process here.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm scared.
Now, after getting some repositioning, since the Karcha didn't chase me the first time, I stood up on the mountain shooting down on it, to which it seemingly got stuck here. But there's no promises when fighting this guy. As I kept trying to shoot him and deal some damage because I thought I could kill him this way, this happened.
Oh no, he's gonna be able to get up here, isn't he?
And well, past me was correct.
Yep. I'm so dead. This was such a bad idea. Oh,
Yeah, this guy could have the mountain. You'll never guess who I landed nearby to either. I hate this game. Once everything was settled, we quickly headed back up to the mountain to collect our gates, and it's important to know that during this challenge I did not change the code to be able to let me pick up every structure, so that was kind of a slowdown. But after this, I made sure to get his attention once again because that seemed like such the smartest idea at the time.
follow me, buddy. Follow me. Oh boy, I'm dead.
Did I have a plan whenever I did this? Absolutely not. Back at base, it was time to devise a plan and resupply on all of my supplies. So I grabbed one of the pistols that I had gotten from a supply drop, and it was time to head out and trap him. Now the updated plan for this trapping was to use this little rock combination in this wall, which has been used in a lot of old ARC videos to trap gigas and such. So this would be a good trap for the Karcha. When we got back up onto the mountain, it was finally time to get his attention.
Okay. Just gotta get his attention and fly down the hill. Yeah, come on, bud. I've got a good, yep, I got a good feeling that was gonna happen. Where's the trap spot? There it is. Oh, he's mad. Okay. I know for a fact he's not stuck. Not again.
Yeah, just as we had neared the halfway point, he got away and ate a corpse, so he got health back. Since I had decided to take a test and just see if he would stay in place where I didn't trap him in the actual spot originally, I finally got a hit here.
Alright, let's see if this holds. You gotta be kidding me.
Once our boy had moved away from the trap, it was time to demolish everything and just reset up the trap. So that's what we did. We placed gates all around the sides to make sure that I could actually do this proper, to which we did. And we had him trapped, and the killing process was ready to begin.
There we go.
And with this, we had 1 of the 2 gigahertz required. After everything was sorted out back at base, I decided to actually build a base now, so that we could properly have a home. And I quickly assembled the floor and put an industrial grinder down, as well as assembled a quick little greenhouse so that we could grow some crops down the line. But I got distracted and ended up going over to this red supply drop that I seen back on Carno Island, which we got some goodies.
Yeah, okay.
Now the best thing about having the gas mask is that would help greatly with the swamp cave later down the line. So we had that. I got a little distracted after this. It was back to a little bit of farming and collecting some supply drops. With all of my job being done at Carno Island, it was time to finally assemble the base, including adding an industrial forge to the roster. So it just took a few minutes to actually adjust this thing, but we got it set up, as well as adding this chemistry bench to the lineup. With the base coming together, it was finally time to actually grind up a lot of the loot we got from supply drops.
Oh, okay.
With my base properly set up now, I decided to run up to the local mountain to collect some more metal so that I could properly fuel my industrial forge. We go all over the place, I know. But once all that was done with the forge and the base, it was time to head out and do yet another cave. The cave we were looking for now was the Artifact of the Massive Cave, which I didn't look up where it was because I wanted to find it on my own, to which took a little bit of looking, but we finally found it. So it was time to tackle this cave. Now the inner workings of this cave aren't so challenging. I was able to just mow through everything with brute force with my bow, so everything was going fine and dandy.
Okay, well,
Once we were in the open area, it was time just to kill Sarcos, and that's what we did, so the cave was ours.
This isn't the ledge, is it? It is. That's... That was terrifying. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that. We got it. We're out. Not coming back here again.
With the cave complete, we had finally completed 6 out of the 10 artifact caves. Progress was looking very strong now. We'd also collected some other tributes. With all that progress done though, I decided to go back to the usual spot, which was Carnivore Island. We had to collect some more supply drops, so that's exactly what we did. I mean, I did this too much, but I don't know what to say. They dropped too good a loot. Don't worry. I gotta keep reiterating, but we're gonna nerf the supply drop quality after this.
Ain't bad.
And don't worry, I can't do anything about the Alpha Carno spawns. These guys just kept appearing, so you know, we had to keep making use of them, but back to supply drops.
I guess. No Alpha Raptor yet. Ooh. Oh, that's really good.
Now, despite all of the good loot, there was still another Alpha Carno that decided to challenge me, which we made quick work of, so you know, that was nice. But then we went over and got this blue supply drop, and then it was time to head home. Back at base, I decided it was finally time to upgrade my fur armor, as I had plans of conquering the snow cave for the artifact of the strong. And it was by this point that I decided my bow had enough, and I decided to switch over to the better pump action shotgun. I went to upgrade the one that we got from the supply drop earlier, and I may have upgraded a little too much, so I apologize here. Don't worry though, I will limit this in future videos. But with all the prep done, it was time to parachute over to the snow cave. Once we had arrived at the snow cave, it was time to place down
Okay,
some
I can
sleeping
place
bags
that here.
and get to killing some dire wolves. Once I had got past the first crouch section of the cave, it was time to place down some fence foundations and some stone door frames, as it would help me better keep a lot of the creatures at bay and allow me to push through this cave. And one of the things you'll notice now is that I really did not have a great plan for this, as you'll see.
You've got to be kidding me. How does that reach me? I'm dead.
Yeah, we were narrowly able to avoid death here, and I don't even know what to say. I had no plan for this. To even say that I don't know what the plan is, yeah, there was no plan to begin with, so this was a bad go. After all the cave conundrums that I'd faced, it was time to just take a break from the cave, and I went out to loot this red supply drop, which gave us some really good loot. Once I had returned to the cave, it was time to equip the riot shield that I got from the red supply drop. Now this would help me greatly throughout the beginning portions of this cave, but whenever I returned into the cave, every creature at the beginning part of this cave was gone. I mean, they were gone. We had a good break. We were able to get through a large portion of this cave because all of them despawned. It's not like the creatures were fully gone in the cave, as they were still there further down the line, so we still had to prepare by building a wall and getting to killing. After passing the first section of the cave with a challenge, it was time to finally test the riot shield against this Prolovia. And to say it worked wonders is an understatement.
I am happy I got this shield.
Yes, former me, as this would be our new way of killing Prolovias further into the cave. After some more usage of the shield and killing another Prolovia, it was time to finally advance into the final steps of the cave. With the polar bears at the entrance dealt with, the big challenge was going to be these Prolovias, and to say they were a challenge is kind of an understatement. These guys were the whole package.
Oh, that ain't good. What?
After that death, I
Okay.
made sure to go back and die again. And then back at base, I decided to recraft some fur armor to get back into the cave. And once I had arrived there, the only thing that was left for me to do was die. Back into the cave after some resupplies, I decided to finally continue building a little fortress near where I was dying, so it was time to get going with that, but unfortunately it didn't hold off the Perlovius for long, and I died.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Back at base, I've grabbed a bunch of scrap loot that I had lying around and decided it was time to get back there and actually get my stuff this time. To which I finally was able to finish building the wall, collected my stuff, and with my stuff reacquired, I was able to clear out the remainder of the cave at my little barricade.
I don't like you.
With the remainder of the cave cleared out, and we were able to grab the artifact.
I can finally leave this cave.
To say I felt amazing with this cave complete would be an understatement. We had also managed to get a lot of really good loot as well. I had also ran into this red drop, which also gave me really good loot as well.
Okay.
The parachute trip back took forever, but we got back home in the end. We had deposited the artifact of the strong, and we had collected 7 out of the 10. It was also time that I decided to grind up all the stuff that we got for some great resources. With everything done at base, it was time to head over to Carnivore Island to look for an Alpha Raptor, to which we found one, and made short work of him to get the Alpha Tribute. So we had killed 4 out of the 7 Alphas. Progress. With the Alpha killed, I decided to turn my attention to crafting a minigun, as the new plan now was to take on the Swamp Cave. I decided to upgrade the minigun quite a bit as well, and I think I might have went a bit overkill with this. I used the augment station, but we're not going to do this next time. It was at this time that I decided to make a bigger storage box to hold all of our artifacts and trophies, so we were better organized. As I loaded up the minigun, it was time to head over to the Redwoods and get over to the Swamp Cave. Once I landed in the Redwoods, the first step for me to take was to kill some Thylacoleos, as they would give me their hook claws, which is one of the tributes we needed. And then after a good bit of looking around, we had stumbled across the cave by chance. This took a few minutes that I will not show, but we found it. After quickly setting my gas mask into a storage bin in case I were to die, it was time to equip our main gas mask and get into the cave. Now, within this cave, the main creatures are snakes and just a bunch of bugs, so, it's going to be tough, but I brought some foundations and door frames to help me just keep them at bay, but you'll see how this goes. After dealing with the bugs, it was time to continue pushing forward, which wasn't so bad. I was able to tank a lot of damage and use the minigun to my advantage, so we were pushing through this like butter. After the long bits of killing had been done, we had made it into the first large open room within the cave. Now, one of the best things about this open area in the cave is that you're able to find a crack in the walls to help you get to the artifact right away and bypass the rest of the cave. And once we found it, the artifact was ours. Out of the cave we went, and on the way back home, it was another nice parachute ride back home. Back at base, it was time to drop off our tributes, to which we were 80% of the way done with our artifacts. We had also made substantial progress into our tributes as well. With each land cave complete, it was time to shift my focus to the water caves, and I crafted a bunch of flippers and upgraded some hide armor for some thermal protection. With everything prepared, it was time to head over to the Caverns of Lost Hope. I ran over to the one mountain and then parachuted off after grabbing this explorer note. I mean, this happens all too much, but there's a lot of parachuting in this video. Once I had landed on the coastline, it was time to set up shop by making some foundations and setting some beds down. And it was also time to farm, as I did not come as prepared as I should have. And before I went to the Caverns of Lost Hope, I wanted to check something real quick, so I spawned in on the center. And now the thing that I wanted to test was movement speed under the water. Now, despite playing this game for many years, I did not know if movement speed increased swim speed or if it was oxygen. And how didn't I know that? No idea. And after putting all of the upgrade points into movement speed to see the difference, yeah, movement speed was going to be the choice here. With the movement speed all the way at max, I was even able to outrun Alpha Megalodon, so we had our choice chosen. With my indecisiveness being cleared up on the center, it was time to actually pop the mind wipe and begin changing our stats. Now my choice wasn't to go 100% into movement speed and only stay with 220%, just so that we could upgrade other stats like stamina and weight. And with our stats sorted, it was time to enter the cave. Now the reason for much of the farming beforehand entering the cave was so that I could craft some stone behemoth gateways, so that none of the creatures would be able to break through and get out, but yeah, they were able to just go around. After leading the megalodons away, I had made sure to kill all of the eels that sat near my gateways so we could progress through this cave. Now, once I had entered the caverns, I thought I could be a sneaky guy and just go up to the top of the water and just go around everything, which was working. Not everything was detecting me until it wasn't. Now, since I had brought some backups in the scuba tanks and flippers, I was able to just go back and get their attention and try to draw them away from my stuff. So that is what we were doing. And yeah, if you wondered where I was leading them away to, it was to the edge of the map where I would hit the world border. Yeah, these guys would just not give up, but I didn't give up leading them away. With the successful takeaway, I was able to go back and grab my stuff. And even with my stuff back, I still didn't have a proper game plan, and I just focused on killing a lot of the creatures in the surrounding area, but there were too many. And as we pushed further into the cavern, we found a high-level Tuso and a very high-level Moza. And yeah, it was looking rough. And since I had prepared for this with my gates, I had led the Tuso over to them and placed another one, to which his aggression changed to the stone gateways, so he could shoot them for free. And for some reason I decided to leave the cave and go get supply drops because I believe I was going to upgrade my scuba tank, so, I think I forgot how to play the game here. Well, I guess. But my main purpose for being out here was to kill these Hesperornises for some organic polymer that I would use to upgrade my scuba tanks. Once I had done that, it was time to upgrade the scuba tank and actually get back to killing and conquering the cave, so we got the attention of the Mosasaur. But before I could get dealing with that guy, I decided to not bring my best gear, so of course I died. Yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to actually decide to bring proper scuba gear so that I could survive in the ocean, but I guess. But yeah, after giving it some time, I was able to go back and get to actually fighting the Mosasaur, to which he fell after a good while of shooting. With this guy down, I could push through the cave even farther, but my progress got halted once again because I kept getting chased by all the megalodons. Back at base, I decided to make some more preparations by being able to craft more stone behemoth gateways so that we can hold off everything better. But as you'll see, I just decided to go into the cave and just beeline it straight for the artifact, which worked wonders, and I was able to just get by everything, and the artifact was ours. Just leaving this cave was an experience. There were so many megalodons in this cave, but we were able to just go by them. Movement speed was such a great choice, even though I did die a few times. After mining a few resources up on the local mountain, it was time to actually parachute and get back to the main base. 9 out of the 10 artifacts had been acquired. Just need to do the last water cave. We'd also made progress with some of the underwater tributes as well. With everything sorted back at base, it was time to start our parachuting journey and get to the other side of the map to deal with the caverns of lost faith. After arriving on the western shores, I made the same advancements I did for the last water cave and made a little base, and it was time to get down into the caverns. Now, the good thing about this cavern is that it's quite easy to just get up on land and shoot a lot of the creatures in the water, so bypassing a lot of the difficulty in this cave was easy. And further into the cave, I was just able to grapple up to the land part of this cave, so there was no challenge. All I did was just avoid the megalodons here. It was moving like clockwork right now. With the artifact in our sights, the one thing that we had to do was jump in and go get it. Artifact acquired. The final cave had been completed. It was a really easy one, honestly. I should have started with this one instead of the Caverns of Lost Hope, but oh well. Once we had arrived back at base, it was time to deposit the artifact, and we had all 10 artifacts required for each of the 3 bosses. Now, despite being done with each cave on the island, the one thing that I was looking to do now was go and search for all the underwater tributes that I would need, which could include Basilosaurus blubbers and the remaining 3 water alphas. So it was time to search the whole ocean. That is what it would entail whenever we were going to fight Basilosaurs, and the cherry on top was to see yet another Alpha Carno, because I cannot escape these guys. Back to killing Basilosaurs I go. Now, whenever it comes to swimming around the map and just killing anything, I was really killing anything. I would kill the Tusos for their tentacles and all the tributes I could get. Another constant theme that would be going on whenever I was swimming around the map was getting chased by the manta rays, so, you know, that kept this entertaining. But after a long bit of traveling and ending up on the other side of the map, we had found our first alpha. Now, one of the things about the Alpha Lead Sickness is that while being really fast, he has the exact same amount of health as a base Lead Sickness, so it was only a few shots that needed to be shot. Now, the one thing I was certain of while fighting this guy was that I had to stay close to the shallows because his speed would just obliterate me. He could catch up so quick, so once I go to the shallow, he retreats. And using this to my advantage, we were able to get free shots off and finish the Alpha Lead Sickness. Alpha Lead Sickness Blubber had been acquired. Now, with only 2 water alphas remaining, it was time to continue the hunt and go find them, which didn't take long because we managed to find a low-level Alpha Tuso. Now, to say that I was happy is an understatement, as I was super happy that we had got the lowest health possible on an Alpha Tuso, so we would be able to just absolutely shred through this guy. With the Alpha Tuso at this point being around half health, it was time for me to go back to the shore to refuel my stamina. Now, doing this ended up being one of my biggest setbacks as the Alpha Tuso despawned. I spent a good 10 to 15 minutes looking for it and it just was gone. Back to the fighting I go. And since I had seen an Alpha Mosasaur before I went into the Caverns of Lost Hope, we went over to visit this guy, and to say he had a large health pool is an understatement. After knocking down the Alpha a good third of his HP, I went to go refuel my stamina yet again. And once I returned, he had despawned. Once I had arrived back at base, it was time to just repair my crossbow, and I did do a dino wipe within this time period because I couldn't be bothered. I had already been in the water for like 4 hours. I can't with this game. So we do that. I hope you guys understand. And wouldn't you know it, the first dinosaur that I see is an alpha that I don't need to see. Now I did what any reasonable ARC player would do, and that was to start shooting this guy. And I'll just let you see how this play out. But this was a very bad idea, so to say. Poor game plan, but hey, we still killed him. So, never doing that again. Now I decided to take a step back and was on the search now for a Giganotosaurus or a Karcha because I wanted to get the last heart, so that was what we shifted our focus to. I wanted to take a break from the water. Now, did I have any luck? No, but I went back to searching for more tributes and I killed a Spino and returned back into the ocean to search for the alphas yet again. And after a while of searching, I had found a low-level alpha mosasaur, and I put a lot of damage into this guy, but you'll never believe what happened. I had to go get my stamina back, and he disappeared. I love this game so much. I think that's just bad playstyle, but whatever. It was also at this point that I decided to shift my focus from looking for the alphas in open water to seeing if they had spawned in any of the underwater caves.
Of course not. Why couldn't you be alpha? Come on.
I was getting pretty mad at this point, and honestly, it was getting valid to a point. I had searched for so long and just couldn't find any of the alphas I needed.
Like, yeah, this will stay here forever, but not an alpha mosasaur. Yeah. I hate this game.
It was getting really bad at this point. I had decided to take a break from this point and popped a mind wipe so I could get boss ready with my stats because the alphas were going to have to wait at this point, so that's what we were going to do. I turned my focus to crafting more bullets to prepare ourselves for this. It was also at this point that I decided to finally liven up my base, and I set some artifact pedestals out front of my base so I could just set some artifacts out that would look cool and brighten up the base. It was also by this time that we decided to finally craft some medical brews and energy brews. We would need to be running constantly throughout these boss fights, so best to be prepared. And you can never forget about the bullet crafting. This went on for so long, but yeah, this is going to be out of the video. Just know that whenever I could craft bullets, I crafted them. At this point now, with all the bullets crafted, it was time to grab our brews, grab the artifacts, and head over to the obelisk to fight the brood mother. Now, one of the things you'll notice about this fight is that I have a riot shield on, which is not a smart idea, which comes in later, but don't worry about that now. But the main thing about the brood mother is that she's very slow, and I'm able to keep my distance real well and just shoot her with a shotgun. So that was going to be the whole fight, was that. So it was time to just run around and shoot her. Now, we were absolutely shredding the brood mother because keeping distance from her in this fight is incredibly easy because she is insanely slow. I mean that with all disrespect, so that was going on.
Why are you running from me?
With this, our first boss had been defeated, so it was time to place down the flag to liven up our base and get ready for the next fight, which was going to be the Megapithecus. So we were going to get ready for the snow with a bunch of the brews, and we grabbed the artifacts, and it was time to get over there. Some of the things to note down when fighting the Megapithecus is that he does have a little bit of damage reduction, so each pellet does a little bit less, whereas the brood mother, each pellet did more, but for this guy, it's a little bit less, so I had to keep that in mind, but he did have half the health pool, so it It wasn't looking so bad. I was way faster than him, so it was just time to continue our strategy of running around him and just continual shooting. But we still were able to make this somewhat difficult.
That's not good, that's not good.
After that little conundrum, however, the Megapithecus fell, and 2 of the 3 bosses had been defeated.
That's done. A little bit more worrying than the Brood Mother, but we're on to the dragon.
After placing the flag down, it was time to get over to the Red Obelisk and fight the dragon. Now this fight was immediately cooked off rip as the dragon decided to land immediately, so it was looking very rough, and you'll see I started to spam my medical brews here, and this will be a recurring thing throughout the rest of the video, but that does absolutely nothing, so we're looking very poorly right now, and you will never believe what happened next. Artifacts reacquired. Once I returned back to base after recollecting the artifacts though, looking over all of my tributes that I had, it was time to finally get the last few. So the last one that we needed was a Gigaheart. So off to find him. And when I did finally find one, I led him down to the beach, which took way longer, but I'm not going to show it. And we managed to kill him.
That was scary. I didn't want him to gain health back. We did it.
With this feat accomplished, I decided to go back into the oceans and look for an alpha mosasaur, which we found one. And you'll never believe what happened whenever I was trying to shoot him. He despawned. It's like the 20th time this is going to happen in this video, but you know, oh well. With yet another open ocean failure, I turned back into the water caves to continue searching for alphas, to which we didn't find any, but this had gone on for a while, and I had went back and forth to the caves 4 times each, and none of them had spawned. This was after multiple dino wipes, so I decided to spawn them in.
I know this is gonna look really cheesy with how I kill them, but this is literally how it was gonna go if they naturally spawned. I'm just getting tired of waiting.
I had also spawned them in at max level so that they would have more health and make it a little bit more of a lengthy battle, so it was more fair. And I mean, I would have already had them killed, but you know, arc mechanics. As I've said before though, if they spawn naturally, this is how I was going to kill them, but as you'll see, if you don't like me spawning them in, here you go. Yeah, I still managed to die, but got my stuff back and finished killing him. Now it was time for the alpha mosasaur, which, spoiler alert, nothing crazy happened, he just died. I had also made sure to collect the artifact again so that I would not have to risk returning back here. And when I returned back to base, I got prepared for the dragon fight, and I had also installed an instant health potions mod. So we were going to be using that to fight the dragon because his dragon's breath was too much. I had fought him numerous times as a test and it still didn't work, but on to the dragon we go. Now, if you are noticing, I apologize for not lowering my gamma during this, so it is really bright in game, but this is a really cooked fight, so I apologize for that, but this was quite the fight. The instant health potions made this a lot easier when the dragon landed. As I look back on this fight, did I over-prepare? Yes, as 150 instant health potions were a little too much, but I did almost get knocked into the lava, which for sure would have been an instant death, so at least we didn't have that happen, but he was breaking my armor really quickly. By this time, we hadn't even got him down 100,000 HP yet, and he was still absolutely obliterating me, so it was looking very rough even with the instant health potions, but every measure that I tried to take to trap him didn't work, as he would just phase through everything, but you could trap him, which you'll see later, but this guy was stressing me out, and all the Pteranodons during this fight were just incredibly annoying as they could destroy my armor as well, and that was just not fun. And whenever I talk about trapping the dragon, that is not for this fight, because I didn't know you could even do that, because every time he'd just be right behind me, so it was really bad. Whenever I looked through my inventory for another canteen, I had realized all of my armor was really broken, so it was down to 3 pieces of flak and 100,000 more health to go, so this was rough.
Come on, this should be it. This should be it. One more shot. One more shot. Ow.
And with that, the dragon had been defeated. Now I know that we couldn't do this without the instant health potions, as I don't think that was possible, but we still did it nonetheless. We will fight him a few more times, but with all my armor broken, there was really no chance. With the flag placed down, we were ready to fight the Overseer, but it was going to have to hold off for right now. Now, why, might you ask? It was because I wanted to collect 3 artifacts required for the Broodmother, as I wanted to fight her on beta difficulty. But before I went to fight the Broodmother, I decided to use the Artifact of the Clever as a nice little detail in my base, so I went back to get it again. With this done, we were able to go over and fight the beta Broodmother. Now, there's nothing much to really say about this fight that's different from the last one. She is a little bit faster, but still not fast enough, as I'm able to just run away and continue just blasting her, so this fight really didn't take that long.
And this is it.
After stopping back at base, I headed back to Green Obelisk to finally craft a tech replicator. With the tech replicator crafted, I had spent the next 30 minutes crafting bullets to prepare myself for the tech cave and the Gamma Overseer. After crafting all the bullets, I decided to craft this 1400 armor riot chest piece, so we were really prepared for this battle. After quickly grabbing the tributes, repairing my armor, it was finally time to head to the volcano. With standard parachute procedure, we arrived at the volcano, and we were finally ready to tackle the tech cave.
At least I'm able to come back here if I fail. But we're not thinking about that.
The strategy for this cave was to plan on just avoiding all dinos and just sneaking through, which ended up working wonders. As I am rather inexperienced with fighting the tech cave, I decided to parachute down this center lava fall to see how I could get down here the fastest, which ended up working wonders, as I was able to safely shoot dinos from far distance to get them to fall in the lava and clear the path for me in the safest way possible. After using more of my stealth skills, it was time to just brute force the rest of the cave, as there was kind of a blockage that I had to just constantly shoot through. So this kind of went on for a little bit, but we ended up clearing the cave and clearing away
Fallen.
to finally beat the tech cave. After killing this solo T-Rex, it was time to parachute and get to the teleporter platform.
Because that's the way out. Okay, that's it. That's the end right there.
And with the choice of parachuting past everything, we really dodged 99% of this difficulty towards this end part, as I was not going to survive fighting this Karcha.
We're through. Okay. It's time.
Upon arriving at the Overseer's lair, it was time to pop the stews and just get right into fighting. I skipped the intro because I was really bad at making the cinematic. Now, I had only fought the Overseer a select few times, and I really did not understand the ins and outs of this boss fight, so I was learning. It was very much a learning curve as I got here, but I finally figured out that you can actually shoot him in this phase.
Wait, am I able to hit you? Oh, I am. That's awkward. Okay, he's morphing now. What's he going into first? Oh, the broodmother. Okay.
Now, during this, you might be able to hear my laptop's fan in the background, as I was recording this off a laptop and I didn't really have a great headset. I have a better headset now, but if you're noticing issues with the audio, that is why.
There we go. Okay. On to the next stage.
After not having much of a challenge throughout the first part of this battle, it was finally time that I think they wanted to up the difficulty now.
Oh, they're transforming into the monkey. Oh no, that's not good. I got space between, but this isn't good.
Now, the biggest issue with the dragon was going to be the dragon's breath, but I had the instant health potions for that, which I may have done a little over the top with having them for this fight, but the biggest issue was the dragon's speed and him being able to catch up to me really quick, which I wasn't properly geared for. I didn't have the highest movement speed, but it doesn't pan out so bad.
I'm away from that. Nope, I'm not, I guess. Okay, there he goes. He's down. Dragon down. Ah, that hurts. Well, nope, you're not close enough. Okay, at least I can still move. Alright, there we go. Time for the Megapithecus.
Now, a relieving thing about the Megapithecus is that the only thing I have to worry about is his high damage, but his movement speed was slower than I was, so
Taking a bit less damage.
I was able to easily outrun him and keep my distance, so
Yes,
this wasn't so challenging.
the lowest health pool. Just can't get hit by the boulder.
But soon enough, Megapithecus fell, and it was time to finally finish this.
There we go.
After some more battling with the defense units and the attack drones, the Overseer decided that this couldn't be done now and transformed back into the dragon, so we were in for another fun one. And of course, this was just as menacing as the last.
Okay, last shot, and get out of here.
And with the dragon down, it was finally time to end this.
Oh my. It's over. We did it.
And with the Gamma Overseer defeated, we have officially beat the challenge. But I wasn't going to stop here. We were going to go fight higher tier bosses. After setting back up at base, I had to recraft the shotgun and recraft some bullets, so we had to get back to where we were after losing a lot of our items after ascending and beating the Overseers, so it was time to get ready to fight the Beta Megapithecus. Now, as a quick disclaimer, I was only going to be giving myself one opportunity to fight each level of boss that I had not fought already. But back to the video. After arriving at Blue Obelisk, it was time to spawn in the artifacts, as I wasn't going to go redo the caves. I already used enough storage space on this video, so I was running out, but on to the Megapithecus. Now, one of the things you'll notice with this fight with the Beta Megapithecus is that his movement speed didn't increase, and since I had 163% movement speed, I was easily able to outrun him still, so it was very similar to the Gamma Megapithecus. Standard boss fighting procedure was going well, however, as he can't attack while moving, so I was able to easily dodge his ground slam attacks, but I couldn't dodge all the boulders. Don't ask how it hit me, I don't know. I also got hit by some poop, which kind of worried me, but I was able to escape the boulder throw, so we were still fine. It's just looking a little sketchy, but we could finally end the fight. After this, it was finally time to just enjoy the view, but we had to get ready to fight the Alpha Broodmother next. Once I had arrived at Green Obelisk, it was time to spawn in the artifacts and get right into the boss fight. Upon spawning in, it was time to pop the bruise, adjust the gamma, and it was time to hit the gas and go to standard boss fighting procedure, because this girl was fast. And when I say she was fast, she was fast. She might have been stuck here, but you'll see. Now, this had only been going on for 2 minutes at this point, but oh man, this was stressful. Now, after the 10-minute mark, my bug repellent had expired, and since I didn't have it in my hotbar readily available, I had to pop it at a very unfortunate time. You'll see what happened. Yeah, we were in a really rough spot now. As the Broodmother got to low health, we didn't change the attack strategy at all. It was just to not stop at any measures, and we did not want to get hit by any attack. After the effects of pressing left click, it was finally time for the battle to end. It was finally time for the Alpha Megapithecus. After giving myself the artifacts, it was time to fight the Alpha Megapithecus. Now, upon spawning in, I really didn't have a plan for this fight. During the intermission between the Broodmother and this Megapithecus fight, I did pop a mind wipe to give myself a bit more movement speed, so I was at 163% and I jumped to 184%, just to give myself a little bit more speed. And boy did I need it, because this guy was fast. After using the same circling technique I've been using this entire video during these fights, this guy had enough of it. Yeah, I thought the boss fight was well lost after this. Felt like I was running out of options, but we pulled it back. Because after a continuous stream of bullets, we had got the Megapithecus down to half health. Big progress. This battle had gone on for so long that the soups had expired, which is 15 minutes, so you know, this was a pretty lengthy battle, but it was do or don't now. we had finally done it. It was time to take in the view, but we had to fight the dragon. The strategy for this fight was to have health potions and flak armor, just so we could take more damage. Upon giving myself the artifacts, it was time for the beta dragon. Now the key takeaways for this fight is that the dragon has a lot of health, and his damage went up significantly, but aside from that his movement speed didn't change, so I was able to outrun him with my new speed. Now despite having very good armor and instant health potions, the goal for this battle was to not take as many hits as I could, because if my armor broke then I would die regardless of health potions, so we had to just keep moving and just stay away from him, but he faked me out a couple times and got a few good hits in. Now during the first parts of this battle, the dragon was doing a number on my HP and armor at this point, so it was looking very impossible despite having all the instant health potions, but as I've learned, you can trap the dragon. I am not joking. The Dimorphodons were a bit annoying though. They destroyed all my armor and were doing 115 damage at one point, but we don't talk about this. Now I did end up trapping him once again, but he literally gets stuck on anything, as I've come to find out, so maybe I made the Gamma Dragon harder, I don't know. Probably though. Like, I mean, he still is able to fly away with his own free will, so he's not stuck permanently, but, you know, it was a big majority of this fight. And now whenever I say the dragon gets stuck on anything, he does get stuck on anything, as this happened again with a different spot on the arena, so, you know, this was cool. I mean, it gave me free shots, but really made the fight honestly kind of boring, I will say. But him being stuck in this spot, I was able to get free shots in, and he'd finally crossed below half health, so we were inching closer to the defeat. As I continued running away from the dragon, the most expectable thing happened again. He got stuck on this rock, and the rest is history. With the beta dragon defeated, it was now time for the alpha dragon. After some quick repairs back at base, it was finally time to head back to the obelisk and fight the dragon. Once I had arrived, I quickly gave myself the artifacts, and it was time. Now, as you could tell, the dragon was 100 times quicker than the beta or gamma dragon, so this goes exactly as you'd expect it would. After that disaster, I quickly resummoned the dragon to get the tributes for the Alpha Overseer Cave. And yeah, admiring this guy's speed, I had no chance. Now, it might have been possible, but even trying to use kill commands, it took two, so if that doesn't represent this boss's toughness, then I don't know what does. And don't worry, I wasn't going to keep the element that we got from those kill commands. After some final preparations and getting more bullets and everything all set up, we were ready for the beta tech cave, but I had a bunch of soups and I was only going to take 6 instant health potions. But after quickly grabbing all of the tributes, it was finally time to head towards the volcano to take on the tech cave. After quickly arriving at the terminal, we were ready for the fight. After getting past the first turns of the cave, it was standard tech cave procedure, just jumping down the lava fall and gliding straight down. The scariest part of the whole tech cave was this lone megalosaur that I had to keep looking back for to see if it had turned aggro on me, but it didn't, so I was able to just freely parachute down. Don't mind this Giga and the Karcha in the lava. I did some testing prior, and they just got stuck in the lava, so don't mind them. Now, despite having one of the cooler intros, he's genuinely one of the weaker bosses for this challenge, as he only has stun attacks and I'm still faster than all of his defense units, so they never really get too many hits, and the biggest threats are whenever he transforms into one of the 3 island bosses, but it really wasn't too bad of a struggle. The Megapithecus is not crazy, because after a short-lived battle, the Megapithecus quickly fell, and it was time for the next steps. And since the main Overseer only uses stun attacks, it makes it really easy just to get quick hits in, and there really is no harm here without the defense units because they won't hit me, but the dragon is the part where this gets a little bit scary. But the biggest opponent for this battle was my stamina, as I had to walk away from him at times, which was scary, but I was able to run away and luckily dodge some dragon's breath attacks, so it wasn't completely a failed run. Because shortly after, the dragon fell, so we were able to keep progressing through the Overseer. After some more quick shooting, it was finally time for the Overseer to transform into the final boss, which was the Brood Mother, so we were ever so close to finally defeating the Overseer. And the Overseer Brood Mother isn't really difficult by any measure, as she constantly just roars at you, so she was able to just be defeated really easily, and it was finally time to end this. With the Beta Overseer defeated, it was time to go back and prepare for the Alpha Overseer. Back at base, I had quickly crafted some bullets, and it was time to finally craft some tech. I was only going to allow myself to use tech for the final battle with the Overseer, not during the tech cave, as I would just use my standard ghillie approach. But once we were back at the volcano, it was time for the Alpha Tech cave. And it was standard approach, just sneak past everything, and we were all golden. Now, for some odd reason, don't worry about these Carnos, they were running wild for some odd reason, but that didn't take away from the approach, which was just jumping down the lava fall. And the rest is history. Standard approach, no scares. Towards the end, we did standard procedure and just parachuted down past everything. And a lot of the stuff didn't respawn down here, so it was still the same level, but didn't matter, I just snuck past everything. Now, my initial idea for this battle was that I was going to use my tech jetpack to get up to this little ledge in the Overseer arena, which would allow me to just constantly pepper shots without any risk, but as you can see, that's no fun, and no fun to watch, so don't worry about it, I don't sit here for that long. After a good bit of shooting, it was time for the Overseer to finally transform into the first boss, which was going to be the Brood Mother. And this was going to show if I had completely overdone this by crafting the tech jetpack and allowing me to do that, but as you'll see, the Brood Mother's speed did not increase. So with this, I decided that I would scrap the jetpack and just be running around for this fight, so it would be at least fair and I wasn't going to be as cheesy. Because even without the tech chest piece, I was able to easily just outrun the spider, and this was just easy work, as always, so it was time to fight the rest of the Overseer. The most notable thing about the standard Overseer is that he shoots more stun lasers, so I was getting stunned a bit more consistently, but at least I was still able to dodge all the defense units, so we're going along pretty smooth. But now it was time for the Overseer Alpha Dragon, so this was gonna worry me a little bit. I didn't know how fast he would be and if he was just gonna stay the same movement speed, to which he did. So don't worry, I dropped the jetpack. So it was back to standard Overseer procedure of running around. After a while of shooting, it was standard. The dragon fell and it was time to keep progressing throughout the Overseer. And after even more continuous shooting, it was finally time for the Alpha Megapithecus. And this guy was a little bit quicker, but still no struggle. He fell relatively quickly, and we were inching closer to victory. Now, one of the major differences with the Alpha Overseer compared to the Beta and Gamma version of the Overseer is that this guy will turn into his summon way more consistently than the other two, because I ended up having to fight the bosses multiple times. Because they transformed to the Brood Mother, I'd kill the Brood Mother. They transformed into the Megapithecus, you kill the Megapithecus. They transform into the dragon, you kill the dragon. So on and so forth. This was kind of repetitive, but it didn't strike too much of a challenge. With the Overseer making its final stand now, it transformed back into the Megapithecus for the last time, to which we quickly killed, and it was time to end the challenge once and for all. And with this, we had beat Ark the Island without Tames. I'm thankful to all of you who have watched this video all the way through. I know that we couldn't beat every single boss. We beat 11 out of 12. The Alpha Dragon was something of a challenge, but I don't think that was possible. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you guys on Scorched Earth. Take care.